Welcome to our workshop for today. Happy to be presenting with you guys. We are working on estimating made easy. I decided to change the second part of this name, maybe a little last minute, on how to build high quality estimates that win jobs. I am here not alone. I'm here with V2E, Vision to Estimating, with Michael Reed and Thomas Lawson. All right, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. So our agenda for today, what we're going to cover is how to avoid competing on price, how to get paid for your professional services, how to free up your time estimating, and turn estimating from an event to a process. So in our process, we're starting out number one, as always, positioning, okay? We must focus on positioning ourselves as the builder of choice. That has to be our number one priority. So position, marketing, sales, then pricing, right? Because without positioning ourselves properly, you guys will not be able to earn the price that you deserve, okay? And we want to allow your marketing to do the heavy lifting for your sales, and then the pricing just takes it over the top, right? So, like I said before, we must position ourselves as the builder of choice by one, becoming the authority figure in our niche. Okay, so by being specific with our niche, not just doing a broad spectrum of everything, be known for doing the one thing and the one thing really, really well, right? We also want to make sure that we are promoting your USP, your unique selling proposition. So why should someone want you to be their builder? What makes you special? Because remember that you guys are, okay? So remember to let them know why and what separates you from the rest, and how do you specifically solve their problems, right? And your marketing should educate your potential clients. So not everyone knows what a good builder looks like. How are you educating them to pick the right one? And what are the things that they should be looking out for that might put them at risk if they don't choose you? And what does quality building look like, right? This is what your marketing should be pushing at all times. So you guys should have installed the marketing pillars and marketing into your marketing and sales process, right? Couple things to remember: people buy from people, not companies. You must build the know, like, and trust with those people. And are you answering their 4 questions and their 5 concerns, right? Who are you? Who is your team? How can I trust you? And how can you help me specifically? And their concerns around budget, timeline, trustworthiness, quality, and communication, okay? The impact of this is massive, and this is going to allow you to price better, right? And get the dollar value that you are worth, okay? So what I'd love for you guys to do as well is, what area within your positioning do you guys feel like you need the most help with, right? So I'm seeing a lot of 3s out there for sure. So again, make sure that you guys are taking your time to actually look into that, right? Again, like I said, your marketing should educate them, right, on why you're the builder of choice and why going with you, especially when you're pricing the job, why someone shouldn't go for the cheaper option and how that's actually going to cost them more money. So we're going to be able to go through some of that today. But awesome, keep putting that in there, guys. Next up, we're just going to talk about part 2 in that position is marketing, right? So the aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well that the product or service fits him and sells itself, right? So to reach potential clients, we need to expand on how many different ways they can actually see your product. Like, are you, implementing more than just like ads? Is that all you're doing, right? Are you actually trying to be involved within your community? Are you networking and talking to different people in your community so they know who you are and you're building trust, right? The more ways a person can see your business, the more it positions you as the leader in your field, right? Think about it this way. If you were to see signs around town, site signage on all your builds, they see your Facebook and Instagram videos, and your ads are now starting to pop up, they're going to start thinking that you as a building company are doing extremely well, right? So we want to be trying to hit all these different areas. And when people are ready to build and they see your marketing, they're going to want to contact you guys first, right? So this is going to start putting you guys in the best position to succeed. And keep in mind, quality must be maintained. Just like your builds, the quality needs to be maintained in your marketing as well. So don't just put signs up, that looked like a kid designed it. Get it professionally done. Make sure it has all your information, right? It doesn't mean that it needs to be perfect. Things can always be changed, but we want to make sure that we are taking action. Okay. Any steps that you can make, take to actually keep it professional will go a long way moving forward. So these are the different kind of strategies, right, to push your offer, right? So you have your offline strategies around. Our biggest one is your 1% referral system. Before I move forward, who here has put in the 1% referral system and has found a ton of success? Just in the chat box, just give me a thumbs up and let me know if you found a lot of success from that. Okay. And other things, site signage, going door to door, adding postcards, maybe you're sponsoring community events. I really love the offline strategy because, again, you are actually going into your community, which is where you should be doing your builds. So getting and increasing your network is going to be huge, right? And again, your online strategies. So you've got your website, making sure that you've implemented your marketing pillars, that they get all the information they need on that website. You've got your Facebook, Instagram, Google, and other social media platforms. You've got your ads. Have you implemented an ebook or a lead magnet to collect more information and emails? And lastly, you could always join or create a podcast, right? Another way to get your name out and also provide more education, like I was talking about, right? So in the chat box, let me know which delivery method has been working the best for you. Simon, nice. Loads of responses and their fur doesn't want the bonus. Wow. Love it. Steve Glover, the website's been working best for you. Nice. Craig, Google and website. Damien, Facebook, Instagram videos. Josh, site signage. Nice. Love it. We're getting some ads, networking with clients, referrals from super refers. Nice, Matt. Email, 1%. Love it. So as you guys can see, there's more than one way to do it to get good results. So we want to try and expand as much as we can. What I like to do when I'm moving forward into my strategies is I'm going to hit one really, really hard. So I'm going to hit one really hard, push that out, and then I'm going to move to the next. So part 3 in that is our sales, right? The secret to closing sales is having a proper sales process in place and executing it flawlessly. I just love that, so I needed to put that in there. Okay, by now, as you guys can see here on the screen, by now you should have already know our TPB sales process that's outlined here, right? Having a strong sales process is crucial to having continuous success to your business. We can increase consistency and predictability by following a well-defined sales process. You guys can ensure that each project inquiry is handled systematically, leading to more consistent and predictable project acquisitions and outcomes. You guys can improve your efficiency and productivity. A structured process helps you efficiently manage your time and resources, allowing you guys to focus on the high priority prospects and streamline communication with potential clients, subcontractors, and suppliers. You guys can enhance your customers' experience by having a clear sales process ensures that the clients receive a professional, transparent, and personalized service at every stage. from initial consultation all the way to project completion, right? This is going to improve your client satisfaction, trust, and loyalty. All right. We can provide better sales forecasting. So with a structured sales process, you can more accurately track your project pipelines and forecast future sales performance, aiding in project scheduling, budgeting, and resource allocation. We can enable continuous environment. So a documented sales process allows you for regular analysis and refinement. Construction companies specifically can identify bottlenecks, optimizing their project proposals, and improving your sales strategy based on client feedback and performance metrics. We can facilitate training and onboarding. So once we start to get into a scalable business, new sales teams and members and project management managers can get up to speed faster with a clear structured process, right? So this is how we can start to scale. By implementing this sales process, you guys can achieve greater efficiency, client satisfaction, and business growth. If you can achieve this and follow it up with a professional estimating quote and presentation, you guys should have absolutely no problem winning these jobs at the margin you desire. Okay. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave it to the estimating professionals, Michael and Thomas. You guys are up, starting with the estimating journey. So why don't you guys kick us off? Yep. Talk about this scenario. And what I'm going to do here, guys, is put up a poll for what you guys are currently doing in terms of your estimating process.
Thanks, Kyle. So yes, I guess when we first meet with customers, a lot of it is, how are you currently estimating? I guess grow into our business, how do we produce this estimate? And the builders, where they start, quite often it's a piece of paper, trying to put a price together, then they get more proficient, maybe to Excel, that's a decision, maybe a piece of software, then growing an in-house estimator or outsourcing. These are the options you can choose for your business. To us, estimating is two things. One is account and one is the price. To have both correct is a successful estimate. If one is out, you're not going to be accurate and know your margin correctly. So does your estimating process have quantities ready for you to check and confirm for ordering? Or do you have to go back to the office and do takeoffs each section as you want to place the orders? So how much does it cost you to produce an estimate? Do you put a value on your time and is estimating the greatest strength in your business? Should I think external estimating is just another trade to be used in my business? The plans and estimating process lay the platform for a successful and profitable project. So what we're saying there is how important it is for you to get your base right. There always seems to be a lot of pressure to produce a price for the customer or an estimate, but what steps are you missing in that process just to get that price to market that is going to hurt you through your profitability, your time throughout the build project to be going back, doing takeoffs, and how are you going to then, I guess, reconcile changes or anything against your initial estimate?
Next up, there you go.
Yeah, so these are just some customer examples of guys that have used our service for estimating and what it's been able to do for their business. So we had one builder who lost an estimator in terms of when it worked for somebody else, but with putting in a new PM software, new project management software, and then using a service like us, is able to be able to get all the estimating done, all the quantities done without having to put on a new person in the business. And then another builder we've had has actually he's realized the estimator that he had in his office has got lots of construction knowledge, skills that were maybe being not wasted, but maybe not being used to their full potential because he was stuck spending all his time doing takeoffs and measuring things. Whereas being able to use an outsourced takeoff service, what he's been able to do is position this guy in his business who's got really good construction knowledge to be doing things like due diligence on plans and engineering before it gets to the pricing stage, reviewing site details, really running his eyes over with a really detailed construction eye to pick up any potential issues that come up before even getting to that pricing point. So just a couple of examples of some customers that we've dealt with, some builders who've been able to change a few things in their business through using a service like this.
Yeah. Love it.
So the next point we've got is making estimating a team project. So This is that idea that estimating can feel like a heavy weight to a builder, feel like it's something they've got to handle all 100% of themselves. But what we've been able to do with our service is basically help you spread some of that load of the estimating across your team or across other people. So turning estimating into an admin pricing duty. Well, like Michael mentioned before in that first slide, estimating to us, we understand there's two parts. There's first part is the counting or the measuring and actually getting the figures that you need to figure out what's in your job. And the second part is putting the price to those figures. So if you've got a really accurate count and really accurate measure of what's in the job, why couldn't the pricing part of it be an administration duty where we're applying prices to each measurement that we need in the job? What else can you do to help spread the load? You can use construction team to confirm the BOQ via the model. So one thing we probably haven't said yet, we'll go through this a bit later, is that the way that we do our estimating services, we produce 3D construction models for you guys. So we'll walk you through a couple of those models and how they look and how they work with BOQs, but being able to physically see construction details in your in front of you and match it with the BOQ, it's going to make it a lot easier to be able to, for construction guys to be able to check models and check estimates together. Is an estimator the correct choice for your business, or would a project manager be more value? That's just part of what TPB are talking about previously before, which is just what is the right time to employ an estimator, or is an estimator actually the staff member that you need to enhance your business at the moment? So are your skills construction, sales, or estimating admin? We like to use this example, and it matches a comment that Michael said before, which is, can estimating be seen as another trade in your business kind of thing? Is your greatest skill administration, or is your greatest skill estimating, or is your greatest skill construction and sales? Where can you spend your time better, and where can you offload some of that time to a service that can actually give you better results in that area? Taking hours out of your office to complete the estimate by outsourcing, hopefully what you should be able to do is spend, less than half the amount of time than what you normally do to put together an estimate by checking through a BOQ that you've been given that's really detailed, viewing it in 3D with the models, which we'll show in a bit later, and confirming all the data that you've got there. And the other option, bringing trades into the project earlier with the use of a 3D model to check BOQs in the office, is a fantastic way to make sure all your trades are understanding what's going on in the project that's upcoming. There's so many times we hear stories, and we actually just met with a customer yesterday who said the site supervisor can get to site and not actually fully understand what is happening on the job until he gets to site, because he hasn't had the time to flick through the plans or hasn't quite understood what's actually going on in the complexity of the job. So being able to quickly flick around and visually see, and not only see it, but also attribute it to a BOQ, is something that's a really big benefit and can help spread that load of the estimating weight. Another couple of stories from our customers that use our services. One builder we've got, they use the structural model of that we put together of seeing framing, structural steel, footings, all that stuff. And they put it up on their TV screen in their meeting room with all their site guys before they start on site. And they have a bit of a roundtable discussion to make sure everybody understands how this connection detail is going together, how this cantilever is going to work, what stage should the steel be installed, all those kind of details that are normally sat there and tried to be worked out on site rather than in the office before. And then another builder's got a business that specializes in renovation extensions. What he does is he uses our 3D model we create with the BOQ to help define the scope of works for trades prior to starting on site. So understanding, hey, this is what that section of the house looks like. Here's the scope of works that I want you to do. Can you give me the price on what it's going to cost for you as a trade to come and do that for me? So a couple more examples of that.
Hey, Tom, what sort of drawings do you need to be able to pull the model?
We actually use our software to create the drawings ourselves. We don't need to start from another 3D. So we've drawn them up from hand sketch plans before, but even if it's nice. PDFs or PDF or flat DWG CAD, we create the 3Ds as part of the service. So yeah.
Nice.
So these are the questions I guess you ask in your business. Outsourcing is a scary option because you've got to trust that option. So I guess, why is outsourcing to an estimator the right choice for me? So again, I think you've got to work out in your business where your time best is spent and what solutions are out there in the market that could suit your business. So how am I supposed to trust the information being provided to me? So we spent quite a bit of time trying to understand this question as we set up the business, that an estimate essentially is a pages and pages of takeoffs and data for you to then take yourself through those pages how do you prove what an estimator did or how they came up with those outputs? And that is looking through data. So what we've done is we've built our tools with a 3D model and a checking process to help you be faster and with greater confidence that you should be able to check a 2-story plan in probably an hour and a half. So is it too much info or not enough info? So this again, as soon as we start to check anything that someone's done for us, if we find an issue, we start to think we have to check everything else. Or we look at it and go, where does all this come from? How am I going to prove all this? It's going to take me too long. So how do you make that? How do you feel comfortable what you're looking at? They don't do it the way my business works for me. I always have to make changes afterwards. Again, this has been a big consideration of ours because we find that an estimator will produce the takeoff, hand it back. And if you've got to make the changes in your office, that becomes an admin duty. And if any experience of the businesses I run, that is where we can trigger another mistake. Someone having to change something to match their system. What did they miss? When did they get interrupted? We have the ability to understand your business, work with you to build out your builder's spec and to produce the takeoff how you want to use it for your business or your current software. So does the service cover sales and construction? So an estimating is what we are. We're an external estimating resource, but we are not just held to estimating. Because we produce this 3D model, this is a powerful 3D that you can use in your sales process to explain build. Because we can give you the scenes of the build, explain to your customer how you are going to build that project, and in construction. So bring your trades in on the job early, show them as the building's happening. If there's a situation, everyone points to the 3D model to look for it because the 3D model is multiple pages of your plan. It divides into one area, that model. So this 3D is so powerful. It is, we draw in 3D. We now can give you the option to estimate in 3D. So.
Yeah, just a couple more customer examples, guys. We had one builder who's lost his site supervisor. Supervisor left him, but the only reason this builder had a supervisor like that to start with is because he was spending so much time in the office doing quoting and estimating, whereas now having this service, having all the takeoffs done for him, it meant that he actually didn't have to replace it straight away because he could get back out on site, spend some more time out on site, checking over jobs and stuff like that, and come in and know that takeoffs for all his upcoming jobs are already done for him, already ready for him to quote. And then the other one was we've got a builder who, you know, because he's not spending so much time doing all the estimating and quoting themselves, sort of nutting through it all, they streamline their process. They're actually able to grow the number of projects because they could afford to put another one on, do another build per year because they're spending less time on all the admin side of that comes up to do the X amount of projects they were already doing. So again, we're just sort of, like Mike has been talking through it and saying, is that what we're really trying to do is estimating is the core of it, but we're really coming to you with a new estimating process in a way we can help streamline that section of your business. I'll just run you through a couple of things. So like we've been talking about, how we do the estimating is by creating 3D models. So a couple of things we find and why we sort of went down the journey of being able to look at using 3D models to estimates is you guys as custom home builders, everyone draws plans differently. And I don't know whether we can put anything in the chat box here, but has anybody ever come across a set of plans that doesn't have any issues whatsoever in it? Everyone's working off perfect plans. I'm sure those hand sketch plans we were talking about before, they're always 100% perfect and there's never any construction issues. That's the thing, is that you got all these different plans. Not only have you got plans that might have issues, and you guys as builders, you're taking in plans from maybe different draftees, different architects, different level of details. Not only that, you've got so many different sets of plans that you have to work from. So you think when you're trying to do a final construction quote and you're trying to work out what's in the job, you've probably got architecturals, you've got structural details, you've got timber framing or steel framing details, you've got footing details, civil details, electrical, potentially services and plumbing details. Then you got selections, internal, joinery. That I've just rattled off 10 different types of plans that all relate to one project. For each of those sets of plans, you're going to have a multiple set of different queries and questions that come up that you're going to have to be searching through. Right, what drawing am I going to look at here? What am I going to do here? Whereas what we do part with building the 3D model is we take all of the information and we put it in one location for you, one 3D construction model, so you can see how the structural details are going to interact with the architectural details. So, which we'll walk through in a minute. 3D allows you to see those issues easier. Again, like we just mentioned, picking up clash detections. We see so many issues that we've had before of air conditioning ducts not being able to work because joists are in the way, or beams, steel beams, where the engineers nominated them is going to stick through parapet roofs, things like that. Those are the details that you're not going to pick up in 2D. These are details that you can pick up a lot quicker and easier in 3D and make solutions before you even get to site. Having your jobs put into 3D can help get your team used to seeing them in the same format. So a bit like the comment at the top, you're taking in plans from all these different locations. What we can do is by always putting them into our 3D construction model, you can help your guys build a bit of consistency in what they're looking at. They can look at, all right, so I know to click here if I want to view this on the model. I know to click here if I want to view this. I know the cladding looks like this on the model. This is how it looks. So it helps you build a bit of consistency. We talk about some of these project builders who are doing, a couple of hundred builds a year, things like that. One of the things they've mastered in terms of the way that they run their office and the way they run the sites is because they're big enough, they have a consistent drafting team. They have their own drafting team. So all their plans come out looking the same way. They have an in-house estimating team. So all their takeoffs come out looking the same way, which means that everybody's used to knowing, well, I go here to look at the details. I go here to look at how this is drawn. I go here to find this information. But when you guys are dealing with custom home builds, and like I said, you're taking information on from so many different places, you don't ever really have that opportunity unless you are always using the same engineer, always using the same draftsperson, always getting plans from the same place. You don't really have that opportunity to build consistency to look at something. Whereas what we can do is we can put all your details into one consistent model that helps build that consistency and helps give you that reliability on it. 3D is the future, but the industry is still in 2D. We've been drawing in 3D plans for a while, but nobody other than the big commercial guys have taken that a step further to doing takeoffs and quantities in 3D. So we've tried to bring that service to the residential market using a model in sales, explaining the construction process and time and cost using a model. So this 3D model that we'll walk through, there's ways you can use it to pull back sections. So you can actually explain to customers, why the footings cost so much, because you can look at it and go, well, look at how many piers we've got and how deep they are. To be able to see to a customer, hey, the reason we've got structural steel in this is because let's have a look at how this job's going through. So there's ways you can use it to enhance your sales process as well. Building in the office with 3D and then checking your estimate or BOQ against the model is the best way to ensure everything's been taken care of. Because with our models, what we draw in there is what equals on the BOQ. So if you see concrete in the BOQ, you should see the concrete in the model. So it's a real easy way, which is what Michael sort of said, that you should be able to check a two-story really quickly to go through. I've just seen a question pop up on the chat from Matt. What sort of machine can run the render, or does it work on iPads? Yep, great question. I'll show you in a minute. Basically, our 3D model, we don't need software to view it. We don't give you a model file. It's on a web portal with some tools that we've added into it. And also because it's on a web portal, we link our models to a QR code that we can give you guys the image of the QR code. So that way, when you're on site, your guys can scan it up on an iPad or a phone, and all you need is the internet to be able to view it, and you get the same experience. So hopefully that answers that question for you, Matt. Construction, building the job the same way you estimated the project and using that with your trades. That example I gave with the builder before, we're creating the 3D models the way they should be constructed. Everybody, when we think about 3D, lots of people immediately go to, I get that from an architect. It's a render. It looks pretty. I get it from my, an AI render or something like that. But what we're talking about here isn't an architectural render. It's not a pretty picture render. It's a construction model. So we're detailing how it should be built in 3D, which is going to help pick up all those issues, but also going to help you explain things to trades when you're showing them this is how this is meant to go together. Getting paid for your professional services and using the model to explain the work. You do. That's just part of enhancing your quote detail, and also that idea of you're getting paid with your prelim agreements, or you're getting paid with your prelim estimating time. This is a way to be able to prove, hey, if you're paying me to do this, this is what I'm getting. I'm getting a detailed construction model, which is then equaling a BOQ. So you can build some trust in me as a builder as what I'm going to give you. And then custom homes have more one-off items and complication. So how long should a quote do? Well, when we're talking about one-off items and complications, what we always say is that, yes, custom homes are going to have different things and that every job's going to be slightly different with things that come up. But you guys as a builder are going to have your construction DNA down pat, which is I always build with this size timber frame here. I want to use this type of brand bricks. I want to use this. That's your construction DNA. And also how you construct things. So when we install a post, we get a custom post shoe made up. We don't buy one off the shelf. We get a steel fabby to customize that for us. That's something that even though the job itself is going to be completely different, that's data that's core to you and information that's core to you as your DNA as a builder. So that's something that we should be able to give you in a BOQ that's taken care of for you. Hey, there's 10 posts on this job. So that means I need to order 10 of these custom post shoes that come with it. So what we can see here, guys, this is an example of some 3D construction models and the way we sort of do it. So you can sort of see already how quickly this is moving. And to answer that question before, it's not in any software. It's just inside our portal on a web link. So that's the first key part, is that you don't need software to be able to use it. It's not a 100 megabyte file to transfer. It's just literally online. But what you can already see is how detailed we go with things like site cuts, detailing each sort of retaining wall section. You've got some piers in here. So what I'm going to do is show you down here, we've got these 4 tools down here, which really take this 3D construction model to the next level. So the first thing I do is bring up this cost codes viewer button. So if we click here, what you'll see in here is this is the way we lay out our standard estimating template. So we've got categories, so substructure, then we've got categories for each section, bulk earthworks, retaining walls, concrete supply. So first thing I'm going to do is notice that we've layered this out with a numbering structure. So it's really easy to understand what section of the job each of these categories are going into. I'm going to quickly flick back to, so this is a sample of one of our standard takeoffs that we sort of see. So you guys can see that now. I've swapped screens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys would notice the codes that I was just going through here, that matches in with what we do in our takeoff. So what I'm going to show you is a way that to use the 3D model to check your takeoffs. So here we've got bulk earthworks. So B2E 003-100, and we've got all the information that we've allowed to come through with it. So the cubic meterage, we've got some retaining wall block work counts here, things like that. But because we're modeling in 3D, we've actually given you a really good way to check where we've taken that measurement from. Quite often if you're outsourcing, you get lots of data back, but you're either getting colored in PDFs or potentially no drawings to prove where that measurement's actually come from. Whereas if I go back to my 3D model and I come in and click on the bulk earthworks, if I double click on this, it's going to hide the model to show me the bulk earthworks and all those pink highlighted sections that you can see there. If I click on one of those and click on the selection info, that's going to tell me what it's been allowed for. So that cubic meterage that you saw in the takeoff, that's actually been measured directly from what we've drawn in here in the takeoff. So you can see, because we've modeled in the site and then been able to cut out the cut that's required, we can actually get a volume directly from the model. I've also got this button here called Ghost Hidden. And what that means is I can turn on the projection of the rest of the project. So I can see where against the rest of the project or against the site that's been cut out. Now, what I can also do from a construction checking level is do things like turn on different sections. So on this job, we've got piers, we've got some footing beams, and we've got some slabs. So that means there's going to be 3 different concrete pours on this job. So to be able to isolate and see how much or where all the piers are going, I can actually use the same cost code viewer to do that. So I can come in and see just where the piers are going. I can turn that off. Then I can see just the footing beams. I can see just the slab top covers, but then I can also layer the substructure as a whole. And I can see all of it built in. So I can see my slab top cover, my footing beams, my piers. I've got retaining walls, block work in there. And again, using the selection info, I can actually click on each section of concrete and see what grade concrete's been allowed for where, and that'll translate directly to the takeoff. So what we're doing is not only detailing the job in 3D so you can get an idea of how it's meant to be constructed, we're also giving you a way to check a huge BOQ against a 3D model so you can see where things have come from. So when I go a bit deeper and I look at things like the structural setup of this job. So this is a renovation. It's a raise and build. So the existing roof that they're lifting up and building some new walls and around. I can see in here detailed where the frame's going, where the deck's going, you know, where the structural steel's going on the job. I can click on each beam and tell me what size it is. 300 PFCs through there, 380 through there, 89 square by 5 mil SHS through there. So again, you can get a really good detailed view of what's actually required in the project. So I've got a couple, I'm just going to try and move that down here. A couple of other examples to show you. Another extension on the back of an existing job here. So again, being able to detail, you know, where the retaining walls are required to go along with the drop of the site, where the swimming pool's coming in, where that our site cut needs to go, where claddings are going in. It's really easy to get some really detailed information from it. Now, one of the other points we made was being able to use the 3D model in your client presentation. So what you can do is using that cost codes button is you can actually strip it back to each section. So like I said before, if the customer comes in and they say, oh, how come, you know, you've got this much price allowed for structural steel, or I didn't know there was going to be steel required on my job, you can actually pull it back to them and say, hey guys, this is the amount of steel that the engineers spec'd on your job. So if you're wondering why the price for that section is so expensive, here it is. Here's all the steel that's in the job. So captivating a client by showing them a 3D construction model is going to prove to them that you're across it, and it's going to enhance your quoting time more and more. Some other details, you know, another new build coming in here with a bit of a sloping site, showing some block work coming in here with some fence palings on top. Different claddings in here, showing how it's meant to work. Screens, detailing swimming pools. This one here is another great one with a falling site that's got a little deck extension on the back. Other things I want to point your attention to is some of our quick color recognition. So because we're all about trying to make this process speed things up for you guys and also give you some quick guides on how not to miss anything, we've put some color code things, especially in the structural point of view. So any timber that's green or H3 will actually come through on the model as green. Anything that's H2 will come through as blue. Anything that's yellow is LVL, because the old color hole LVLs used to come painted yellow. So, but it's a bit of a quick guide for you guys to know, you know, actually through here, I can see, cool, I've got pine for the walls and I've got H3 for the battens. Then I've got LVL bearers out here. But also, like I was using before, you can actually click on each member. So each stud, each batten, each eye joist, and it's going to tell you here what eye joist is allowed through there. Block work for retaining walls, steel columns. So again, we're trying to give you all the information required to be able to quickly check over the BOQ in front of you. This is a great example model of a really heavy footing construction detail. We've got piers with footing beams and then block work build up, then with slab top cover on top. So again, being able to explain to somebody where the concrete cost is coming in, you look at all those piers and all those footing beams, but also having confidence that we've allowed the total amount of concrete because the cubic meterage is taken directly from everything we draw into that model. So understanding that, wow, the cubic meterage for the footings and piers is huge. Why is that so big? Having a look at the model and going, oh, it's because there's 39 piers through here. And then there's all these footing beams. So yeah, I'll just sort of flick through and show a couple more complex models that we've done to show you the level of detail we get to. You know, jobs like this where we sort of can see how it's meant to be framed up, double wall frames, curved steel beams coming around the corner here. So again, what we're giving you is not only a way to prove what's in the job and get your head around what's actually required in the job, but also a way to communicate with trades, a way to present to your customers. It's all through one location, and it's got all of the details from all the different plans into the one location. So again, you're not sifting through different plans. You can use this as your point of truth. Yeah. So I've just got a couple more examples. I didn't know, Michael, did you want to jump in anything here while I'm showing a couple more?
I think, Tom, just show them the fit out of the house, the detail we go down to with light switches, anything like that. How to check tiles, tile heights. It's pretty important to help with selection going the next stage.
Yeah, so fit out's a great one. We talked about the example of plans before, not always having the most amount of details. One of the things that we quite often see is missing is internal elevation, seeing where tile heights are required, electrical layouts, stuff like that. So because we can work with either what you want to be allowed for, okay, I want full height tiles through here, or I want 1200 to here, skirting tile to here, you can actually visually see again in 3D where we've drawn the tile height to. And not only that, we can sort of see again using the selection, right? So there's the ensuite tiles. Then there's the laundry tiles. There's the powder tiles. There's the splashback tiles. So again, you can visually see where it's required, and same with the whole fit out. So being able to see electrical light points. So rather than having to learn how to read an electrical layer and make sure things are picked up, you can sit and actually physically count the number of downlights against the BOQ, because every time we draw a downlight in, it gets added to the BOQ. So being able to show some of those details is really important. Renos and extensions, again, this is a single story reno where it's getting re-roofed, but being able to show where is new versus where is existing. So obviously in the existing bathroom, we're relining with tiles and doing a bathroom reno, a new little footing section that's being doweled into the existing slab, as well as a brand new section at the back here. Again, being able to pick up all these details and actually understanding what is happening in the job is so important before you provide your quote, before you get to site. So yeah, so that's a few samples of some different models. Guys, there's samples of these models and also some BOQs on our website as well that you can go to. But I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of a walkthrough and show how we're sort of detailing that.
So Steve has got a question in the chat box.
Yeah,
there.
just looking at the chat. Yep. So you give the builder 3D file access for the portal. So this is basically two-part question there, Steve. So the first part is, we just send you the web link and you guys can just access it anytime. Nobody needs to log into it. So that means that if you want to share it with your trades, you can pass them on the QR link. Or what we've had some people do as a great example is we had one the other day where a builder said he has a trade down here who supplies and installs at a rate. So we've given him the square meterage. He needs to be able to do that. But what he wanted to do for him is come in here and go, turn on the panel so I can see where all the Hebels or foam's going, take a screenshot of that, send that to him with the takeoff and say, hey, mate, here's where all the panels are going on the job. I think this was actually foam on this job, not Hebel, sorry. This is what I want you to quote. Can you prove here's the square meterage? Give me a rate. But then just so you know, here's where it's going on the job. So being able to use that for to talk to your trades and get the real detailed quotes out of them is a really good tool. And the second part to your question, do we have a drafting service? We don't have a drafting service at the moment. We're drafting off architectural plans because we don't at the current moment have the skill set to be able to produce dimension architectural plans to walk through and stuff like that. However, what we do have is for guys who are using, who are stick building construction, I don't know if there's a way, maybe in the chat, we can have a chat, whether you can drop me a line if you guys are hand building, like stick building frames compared to buying prefab frames and stuff like that. What we can also do from our models is produce carpentry marking layouts where we can show what length of timber needs to be used for this pitching beam, what length of timber needs to be used for this lintel, where your bracing locations go, and then also timber cutting this as well. But it all stems from the one construction model. So no to drafting service, but yes to some layouts that we can use for on site. Hopefully that answers your question, Steve. Yeah.
Sorry, Tom, I wonder whether you can bring up just a quick wall frame layout with a QR code.
Yeah, I'll just go to our website and have a look.
Everyone can pull out their mobile phone and just scan the QR code. This will show you how easy it is. This will be sharing with you guys a timber structural frame. Here's the marking plans, but if you want to bring up, grab your phones.
So here's an example of a 2-story marking plan. I'll quickly walk through and sort of show details. So on the wall frame, BP bottom plate. So what length of timber to cut that bottom plate out of? It's a 3-meter window. So grab the 3.3 length, 4063. Different symbols for your jam studs. So that way the carpenters really know what to use where. But like Michael said, if you got that QR code, so I don't know if guys, you should be able to scan that off your screen. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Got a question here from Steve as well. What detail do you need to create the model? So that's a great question. So we have this question with a lot of guys. If it's a prelim plan, we'll still be able to create a model for you guys, but it's all about working with you guys as builders to understand what you want to allow as your prelim plan. So if you need a prelim plan to sort of get working, what we might be able to do is work with you and go, okay, so I've just got architectural plans. I've got a couple of elevations, floor plans, but you as a construction guy, what you're going to be able to tell us is, so what I want you to allow here for the concrete is 100 mil slab with this mesh, this size footing, ring beam, gridded at this 100 centers, things like that. So we can build a bit of a prelim quote for you based on some standard inclusions that you want to give us. Or the other option is, like you said, wait till we've got full engineering, architectural plans, and we just detail it all based on what's required there. Yeah, question from Matt. Do you have something with examples that we can add? Absolutely. So on our website, which I'll just show you guys here, there's samples. If you go to v2e.com.au under solutions, if I can get this thing out of the way, there is samples of full build and structural design estimating, which just give you samples of BOQs that you can download, samples of 3D models you can look at. But also, we're more than happy to provide you guys, if you want to flick me an email or a message at the end, that we're happy to send you guys some different ones. Because if you specialize, like what Cole was saying, if you've got a niche, then you go, I specialize in granny flats or I specialize in renos and extensions, we can definitely send you some sample models that are suited to your niche that you can use to enhance your sales pitch quoting as well. Pretty much that, just to wrap up those models, hopefully, it's a lot of information at the start, but hopefully what you guys have seen is that all that information we've been talking about, that's how we can come to life with it, with using the 3D construction models there. So Cole, take it from there, I guess.
Yep, thanks again. So I guess there's a quote there that Cole puts in. So the success of a presentation will be judged not by the knowledge you send, but by the listener that receives. So what does that mean? I guess if you selected industry software, we can drop the BOM or the BAQ into the attached for your pricing to automating. So what we do there is we will take that model that Tom showed you, model it up, produce the BOM which we showed you. But if you are using an industry software, we can have written another piece of software where we can convert it. So I've seen some people mention Build Exact. We can convert our file to drop into Build Exact. So what happens then in your office is we're turning the estimating process to a pricing and quoting process. Because we've done the BOM, you checked it, you then approve it, we will then put it through our CSV converter, match it up with your codes, and then put it into your Build Exact, where you can then margin your job correctly and produce and finalize your quote. So we draw our plans in 3D now. Why not estimate and present your quotes using the 3D? So Tom showed you a lot of the scenes to explain. So if I'm a consumer and I'm sitting down with you, the reason I'm choosing you to build my house is because I want you as the builder. So show me how you're going to build it. Show me what you're solving. And the 3D lets you explain that, because the price of a house, but a couple of those models Tom showed, a lot of it's under the ground. A normal consumer wouldn't understand. They don't see what's under the ground. So you now have the ability to explain where the cost is coming into their job. I don't know, I guess we mentioned earlier, how many sets of plans do you see that have issues potentially in them? But how many times do you get a set of plans and design a better build technique? You've taken a heap of structural steel out because of your knowledge as a builder. This is who you are. This is how you can represent what you do and know in this 3D and really add great value to you as the builder, to the customer, and the trust factor. So take the stress out of your quoting. As we've built the project in 3D, you produce your quote from a detailed estimate in the build model. So building is looking at a set of plans, which is a layout and 4 elevations. We're trying to then get a price from this 2D, and then we're building it. The issues show up on site because basically it's turning a 2D into 3D through the build process. We're now going to give you the power back in the office to see that in the software. It's not renders. This is so much more detail and can be as detailed as you want to make it. So you're building in the office, you're problem solving. You imagine the impact to your business. If you could solve, we mentioned in an earlier slide, get the perfect quote, get the perfect job at the start. That time throughout the build should not be there where you've got to go to site because an issue has popped up. Let's try to see it in 3D early and solve it before we go to site. Building trust with your customer starts with the quote process. Exactly what I just said before. You're going to explain your build, what you solved using the 3D, what people don't see when they give you a set of plans, what you have to solve as a builder, and how you came up with that price. This will help you build that, I guess, that that feel good, that confidence with your customer is really important. And I know if I was a consumer and I'm sitting with a builder and they could really bring me on the journey early, you're going to hook me. And that's what you're there to do, is bring them on the journey. The quote is the price. The presentation is the sell. What is your point of difference? Again, the reason a customer's coming to a custom builder is not because they're going to be the cheapest in the market. It's because they want the build. Your build is what you're selling. And that starts with how I produce the quote, how I produce the estimate. The confidence I build in the office is going to represent how successful I am on site. And the 3D is a great way to explain how I'm going to build your project, what I look for in my business, and how I present that is who you are. Because that's what you're selling, is your finished product, but you're going to sell it in the office a lot better with 3D. And I'm going to bring my customer in early. And you're bringing your trades in early. You got this 3D, you can bring your trades in on the journey early. You bring your customer along. Everyone can see the project early. You're going to get a far greater and less stressful process doing this. Okay.
I might just as well, Michael, on that building trust in your build as well, give the example of what we had with one customer who's working on a job, and there's a little video of this that sort of shows on our website, I think, as well, where it's an extension renovation to the back of a existing dwelling, little 2-story extension reno, and modeling in the staircase off the architectural plans. What we're able to pick up is that where the stairs were being allowed for in the architectural plans, if we modeled it in as per the plans in terms of number of steps and where it was going to land, the stairs were going to end up past the landing into the bedroom, past the hallway. But then what we also picked up is that if we modeled it to suit the space that had been allowed for the staircase, it was going to be outside of code, because it was going to have too high treads, too high rise and runs. So what we're able to do is say to the builder, hey guys, we've finished the construction model. Here it is. We've got your BOQ, letting you know in the BOQ, you've got an allowance to get a staircase supplied and installed, quoted, but we just need to show you in the model, the staircase does not work. So this is something that's going to have to be addressed before you get to site, before you even start, because it may mean changing the plans. The builder showed the customer that model in the quote presentation, and the customer immediately signed up with them because they said, you guys have picked up an issue that nobody would have picked up on. I feel like I can trust you guys because I feel like you're all over the project because you've shown me something that nobody else has picked up on. So that's a great sample of being able to use the 3D to enhance the quote presentation and to be able to build the trust in your customer. So, and then leading on to that data matching idea that we talked about before. So you guys know when I showed you the takeoff at the start of the 3D presentation, how each item had its own item code that links to a construction category, construction section. What that gives us the ability to do is to actually build what we call a builder's code mapping table for each of our customers. And what that means is that if you're a customer who's been using Build Exact, Wonder Build, Build a Trend, however, for X amount of years, and you've got data, and potentially you're even advanced enough to have some price lists from your trades or from your suppliers built into it, all those softwares have the ability to obtain a SKU or an item code or an item information against them all to hold the pricing. What we can do is we can find, okay, so the V2E code for 20 MPa concrete is V2E 003, 400 and 100. But your guys' code might be BA 1000. What we can do as part of a service after we do a couple of jobs to get ourselves right, but down the track, what we can do is learn, all right, here's all your pricing data that you have in your system. Let's match it up with the codes for our system. And what our app will do is it'll do two things. The first thing it'll do is go through and read our codes, relabel them to your codes and your descriptions. Then it will also ask you what software are we going into, and it will spit out a CSV with the columns already arranged to suit what your software needs, because each software is going to need different column headings, different orders to be able to import. So at the moment, we're successful with Build a Trend, Build Exact, Wonder Build, Data Build, Co-Construct, Zavanti, but nearly all of these project management softwares have the ability to import, export things. So we have the ability to work with you guys and do that as well. So that's just a bit of, again, streamlining the processes. I've got all this data, and now I've got to sit there and type it all into my PM software to build my quote, or now I've got to be able to sit there and convert it to, the way that I do it, put it in there. Now, we want to learn all that information for you guys And not only that, we want to be able to help you so we can put it into your software for you. So you guys are doing your quoting inside your software. What that also then piggybacks back to is it can help your team and help spread the estimating load, because if it's all in your project management software, then all the guys in your office team should be able to, and your site team should be looking in the one spot. I go to my Build Exact or my Wonder Build because I want to see this, I want to see that. It's all the information is going to be held in that software for you. A couple of questions about, do we work with in Australia or, sorry, just restricted to Australia or interstate? Absolutely. We work all around Australia interstate. We also have started working in the United States as well. We've completed a couple of projects in the US, and we can send some samples on where we've done material takeoffs and timber cutting lists. We haven't done anything in Canada yet, but I'm assuming Canada is going to be similar construction to US, but I believe Canada's metric. You guys might be able to tell me yes or no. So, but the ability being, yes, we have to, and nothing in the New Zealand yet, but we have started dealing with that only because the way the New Zealand market reacts in terms of suppliers and things like that is a little bit different, but more than happy to have the conversation to just figure out what you guys require from a New Zealand point of view. Thanks for that confirmation, Matt. Yep. All metric, but working Imperial. Yep. We've got a whole database of based on Imperial setup. So that way we can work with that. No worries. Just a question from Bruce. What's the general delivery timeline from working with the builder and learning their systems? So what we sort of do is try to stage our onboarding process. So normally what we do is work on at least 1 to 2 projects, just focusing on our template, because what we're really big on is making sure we get all your specific inclusions and your takeoff data correct first. And then after that, we've done a couple of projects and we're happy together with how the relationship's going and how the process is working. Then we look to it and go, right, well, how detailed is your setup? How long is it going to take? How much information do you have? And then we can build that as sort of a separate section to that. And then general delivery timeline on doing a job depends on job. We'll quote a delivery time and a price on each job for you, because what it means is how complex the jobs are. It's how long they're going to take us. So we'll let you know on those jobs, but also understand how schedules work with you guys as well in terms of what jobs you need to get done quicker, what quotes you need to get done quicker compared to others. We work with priority lists with our customers as well. I might just answer this other question. Could you talk more about prelim build versus full build? Yep, 100%. So honestly, prelim build estimating for us is always a little bit harder than full build, mainly because what information you guys as builders need from a prelim build is different compared to what you need on a full build. On a full build, we've got engineering, we've got architecturals, we can give you a BOQ of everything that's in the job. But on a prelim build, you guys one builder might need square meter to give a slab price, or another builder might want a cubic meter based on this and that. So the answer is, like I said before, yes, we can do a less detailed model, more prelim model, and give you the information that you need. But what it just really needs is some guidance from you as the customer, and go, you tell us what information you need at what stage of your build, and we can tailor it to suit you on that side. So hopefully that answers your question, Josh.
So I guess this is a really big question. What does an estimate cost your business per job? So obviously you'd see we're presenting to a lot of people our service, and it is fully understanding what is the estimate costing you in your business. Where does that cost come from? Is it the initial, I've got to pay to get an estimate done? That's one cost. But what is the cost of not breaking your estimate down and not margining your items correctly because you haven't taken the time to break it down at the start? What is that an issue on site because you didn't see the issue coming because you're looking at 2D plans or TD estimates? I could have that in 3D. Could I solve it? So what does an estimate cost your business per job? That's a fairly big question. It's not just related just to the cost of the estimate. It is the whole process. So that's how I want people to try to think is, when we put a cost to an estimate, what am I getting from that estimate? Can it help me in sales? How does it produce my estimate? And how does it help me with my construction? Are you using PC sums in your estimate? So the PC sums helps you get a price, the price you sell, but then how do you work back when you go to the actual build? You then got to come back and do takeoffs. So you've got to stop to order the products. You've got to change that PC sum, something changed, or a square meters, the job grew. Then how do you work back for a variation change? Because you didn't break it down enough at the start. So you have to manage that throughout your build. There's going to be a variation. There's going to be a plan change potentially. You came up with the original price. How do you make sure that you're making the right margin on that change? I use the square meter rates for your estimates. Probably the same thing as the PC sum. It will give you the price It'll get you into the market, but at what cost or what margin? That's a system, but can you improve your system? That's what I guess we can offer. Are you doing takeoffs and items as the project's been built? I just mentioned that. If you rush at the start with this to get that price to win that job, you'll have to do the work somewhere throughout the project. But if you took maybe an extra week or two to explain this well to your customer using the 3D examples of what you're trying to achieve, just give me a bit more time, but you break this down, you're going to get your margin from a broken down takeoff. The takeoff should represent how you need to then create your orders for construction throughout the build. So you still need to check them, but it's going to be a quicker check. Do you have an accurate per profit margin or project margin? You've got to break things down. You've got to have a good system. So we said that earlier, because we can model back from a set of plans to a standard model that you look at, the output of that model is our takeoff, and it comes the same, looking the same way every time. It becomes just that pricing process. So you're going to get used to looking at that. When you break it down again, you're going to get your true cost. Once you know your true cost, you can then apply your margin. You'll know exactly what you're making, and you should be able to post back your invoices against the broken down BAQ or takeoff a lot more accurately to know what that profit, did that match how you did your quote and the actual final build? Was that what you expected? How do you track your variations of the project back to the original estimate? Again, it comes down to the detail you put to the original estimate to know that, and the model's a great example of this is what we started with. That's where the original information came from. What changed? You could show the customer, oh, see this, we did your tiles, the skirt tiles. We then changed it to floor to ceiling. Here's the original model. These were the original square meters. We now need this X. Here's the variation. So how do you explain a variation? Most times you're dealing with, it's a price variation. But with the model, you can explain by using that where you started from and where it is now, because they can see physically on site what might have changed, but the model might be how you originally quoted it. So that's another thing. Accuracy and process will equal your profit per project. I can't emphasize enough that process is key. And it's not hard for us to help you implement this process to your business. But if you have a really robust process and you're margining from that broken down detail, you've just developed a very accurate outcome, and you'll know where from the model, was there an issue in this build at the finish of it? Where can we improve? How many guys, what's your wastage on a job? So can that model help you measure, how do I tweak for my next job? How do I bring it was a bit over here. Can I change the formula with us? Absolutely, you can. So we can give you those. Again, what does an estimate cost you? What's your waste factor in a job? Can we help you bring that down? So I guess there's so much to consider. But again, it's not hard, because once we give you the model and a broken down, I call it data. If I can break a house to a lot of data gives you a lot of power to chase price better, to margin more accurately, and to see what's going on. Okay, so
I think I might just jump in there, Mike, as well. What the key thing, what we've shown you guys today, what I really want to get across is that going back to that starting point of an estimate for you guys, or a quote, is two parts. It's doing the measuring and the counting, and it's putting the pricing in it. So that example of the PC sum and the square meter rates is knowing, look, there's one fireplace in this job. So I'm just going to allow, X amount for this fireplace kind of thing. What we want to give you is the message that we have given you the count of, hey guys, there's actually 2 fireplaces in this job. Have a look at it. Not that, oh, I didn't know there was a fireplace in this job. I've missed that. But what that means is, because we're giving you the data, the counting, the measuring accurately, it gives you guys in the office more time and more effort to be able to go and get an accurate price, or accurately see what I want to apply to that price, to make sure that you don't miss the measurements in it. So we are giving you a really detailed, accurate takeoff with a model to match. So that way you can apply your pricing to the takeoff to get a really accurate result through it.
Yeah, awesome, guys. So just doing a recap here of the overall presentation, right? So again, positioning, marketing, sales, pricing. Make sure that you guys are setting yourself up for success. As you guys can clearly see by adding in potentially this 3D model, you're adding accuracy to your presentation and to the build, but you guys are also adding this as part of your sales process, right? This is now an element that's going to put you above and beyond the other builders who are clearly not doing it, right? So now this can be part of not only, like some of you guys said, the lookbook and WowPack, like people seeing that you guys are taking this to another level to make sure that everything is accurate and profitable and like exactly what the job entails. It's going to build that trust, right? Immediately. And it's going to just set you that standard. So that was really cool to see. If any of you guys have any last questions in there, please feel free to put those last questions in there. As you guys can see, these are the questions that I want you guys to be considering when you're thinking about this. Okay. And then as you guys know, you guys got 4 different options, but clearly we can see what is going to elevate you guys to another level. So again, how to get in touch with these guys. I will put the website in the chat box there for you guys. Okay. Any last minute things you guys want to say here before we finish up?
What we really want to emphasize here is that estimating doesn't have to be a stressful part of your business and process. If you have a solid process that you can follow and get more benefits out of it, it can actually be a really, really good benefit to your business and cannot be a time-consuming chore that you have to do on every job, but actually can become a really core integral part of what you're doing. So hopefully that's some of the message that we come back to it.
So that is everything for today, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you. And for everybody else, hopefully you guys got something out of it. And good luck.